Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, moms, dads, brothers, sisters, cousins, grandparents. We're delighted you're here this evening. Welcome to the 2016 WHRO Young Storytellers Award Show. Let's give our winners a great big hand. My name is Angie Callahan. I'm Director of Children's Services here at WHRO, and the Young Storytellers competition is always one of our favorite events every year. And we had almost 400 entries this year. That's a lot of stories. And you know what? You 12 here in the front row are the best in the Hampton Roads area. So we are very proud of you, and we're real excited to hear all about your stories. But first, we have a special guest here. He's not really a guest. He's our president and CEO, Bert Schmidt, and he loves this event too, and he likes it so much he wanted to come and share a few words with you about what he thought, because he read all your stories.
First off, kids, I want to say thank you. The best part of my job and the favorite time of the year is when I get to see all these stories, and especially you 12. The stories you wrote were incredible. And parents, I know how you feel, as I'm a parent myself, and to see your children in the front row and to see the stories they wrote and the imaginations they have, I know how proud you all feel, because I wish one of my kids had gotten to the front row. I enjoy every one of your stories. I hope you're going to enjoy the evening. You get to see your characters come to life on TV. And again, from all of us at WHRO, thank you very much for these wonderful stories. Have a great night.
Thank you, Bert. I want to recognize our contest coordinator, Martha Razor. Thank you, Martha, for all you do to make this work each year for us. We appreciate it. Well, we're going to start with kindergarten second place. And it's Sanaya Hunley Sweeney. Her story was My Big Surprise. She's from Carver Elementary in Newport News. Can anybody guess what this story might be about? Does anybody recognize that number? Well, I know who it is, and you know who it is, don't you? Yes. Well, her big surprise when you got to Washington, D.C., and what was it you got to see?
The basketball game.
And what basketball game was that?
The Washington Wizards and Lakers game.
So why were you so very excited about seeing this particular game?
I never went to a game before.
Right. And I think like somebody pretty favorite to you was playing that night. Who was that?
Kobe Bryant.
And why is Kobe your favorite basketball player?
Because my mom likes him.
Oh, okay, Mom. Now we know. Right, and I bet there were a lot of people in the audience, huh? And they were all cheering, and did you cheer too?
Yes.
Yeah, and the best part, though, what was the very best part?
When my team won the game.
Right, so the Lakers won, right?
Yes.
Beat those Wizards, and you got to see your favorite player, right? Right. Okay, well, that was a really fun story. Thank you very much. Our first place kindergarten winner is Saharsa Viswanathan. So your story is about the little scared fish. What was his name?
Boo.
Boo. And Boo had a mom and a dad and a sister fish, right?
Yes.
And why was Boo scared?
Of her school.
And why was she scared? It was the ocean school, right?
Yes.
Why was she scared?
Because to see all of her classmates.
Yeah, she was a little nervous about it, and she was shy, wasn't she?
Yes.
But now her teacher,
Mrs. Ladybug.
Mrs. Ladybug, she was really nice to Boo, right?
Yes.
What would she do every day?
She will hug her and make her comfortable.
Yeah, well, that was very nice. Teachers are like that. They can be very nice, can't they?
Yes.
And now, but Boo got sick a lot too, didn't she?
Yeah, she always cried almost every day.
Aw. And so she was sick a lot, and so she stayed home from school. And how did she get the courage to go back to school?
She turned into a brave fish.
She got a little braver, right? Her parents and her sister helped her get braver, and so she started going to school, and she started making friends with all the other little fish, right?
Yes.
And what happened at graduation?
She finished all of her school and she got all of her work done.
And she was named Ocean Citizen of the Year, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, I was really impressed with Lil Boo, and I'm really glad she got that award. And I'm glad you got an award too. So thank you.
Welcome.
Our first grade second place winner is Keegan Shannon. And Keegan's story is Life Was Different When Aunt Margaret Was Growing Up. Keegan is from Windsor Elementary in Windsor. Well, I think it's very nice that you wrote a story about your aunt. And your aunt, she doesn't live around here, does she? Where does she live?
She lives very far away.
Very far away in Tennessee, as a matter of fact. That's pretty far away, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, things were different when she was growing up. Lots different. Can you tell the folks a little bit about what was different?
She had no electricity, and she had to carry most of her water from the stream.
Right. And what about her bathroom?
It was outside.
He had lots of brothers and sisters, but lived in a little small house, right?
Yeah, it only had 2 rooms. She had 6 sisters and 1 brother.
That's a lot of people in 2 rooms, isn't it? And what about not having grocery stores? What did they do about that?
They had a garden, and occasionally they had hogs, rabbits, or chickens.
Right. And they didn't have electricity, so they didn't have refrigeration. So how did they keep things cold?
They put them in the cellar.
Yeah, in the cellar. So your aunt, she's still living, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And so you want to tell the folks how old she is?
She is 76.
She's 76. So that was a lovely tribute to your Aunt Margaret. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Our first grade first place winner is Ellery Giddens, and her story is The Ocean Outside My House. She goes to Akahannock Elementary in Exmoor. The little girl in your story, she woke up one morning, got ready for school, walked out the door, and what happened?
She tripped over a stick and fell down her steps into the ocean.
So she tripped over a stick, fell down the steps, and instead of being in her yard, she was in the ocean, right? Mm-hmm. Ooh, so what happened next?
Mark came out, running out of the house.
And that was her brother, right? Mark was her brother, and Mark was he wanted to try to help her and save her, didn't he? And he jumped in, but what happened? He couldn't do it, could he?
Yeah, because she was too heavy.
She was too heavy, and he was trying to save her, and he didn't know what to do. And then all of a sudden, something happened. Who showed up?
A mermaid.
A mermaid. Princess Stephanie from Sealand showed up. And Princess Stephanie was able to reach down and grab Emma, right? Yeah. Emma up and bring her to safety, right?
Yeah.
And so when her brother wanted to thank Princess Stephanie, what happened?
She was gone.
She had disappeared back into the ocean, right? And then when they went back into their house?
The ocean was gone and they could go to school again.
All right. Well, thank you for that very cute little story. Our second grade, second place winner is Mariana Gatton, and her story is The Egyptian Adventure, and she goes to Stonehouse Elementary in Williamsburg. Your Egyptian adventure is pretty exciting. Now, you had King Tut in the story, right? And what was King Tut's wife's name?
Blue Sea.
Blue Sea, right. And King Tut and Blue Sea had 2 children, right? And what were
Yes.
what were their children's name?
Ty and Cleopatra.
There was a problem though, right? What was the problem?
Well, there was an evil jewel found in Cave Rushmore, and the evil jewel cursed Cleopatra and Ty. Cleopatra had water powers, and Ty had heat powers.
Right, and so, and everything Cleopatra would touch would turn to water, and everything Ty touched would catch on fire. And what about the villagers? Were they afraid of them?
Yes, they're very afraid.
They had to figure out a solution, right? So they, I believe it was Ty saw a flyer, right?
Yes.
And what did that flyer say?
Well, it talked about a magical horse tamer named Amber, and she lived in Japan. And they thought that the magical horse tamer could help them because a horse guarded the jewel. So they thought that the horse tamer could tame the horse so it would stop guarding the jewel.
So they made the long walk to Japan, right? From Egypt. And then they got there and they talked to this Amber, and she said, sure, she thought it was a good cause. And you know what? Amber had a private jet, it just turned out. So they didn't have to walk back, right? They got in Amber's private jet. And so when Amber got to the cave, what did she do?
When Amber got to the cave, she patted the horse so it was tame and it went back to its herd. And also, Ty, he burned the evil jewel and buried the ashes, so now the evil jewel couldn't curse anyone.
Right, and they all lived happily ever after, right?
Yes.
That was a beautiful story. I liked it very much. Second grade, first place is Selena Cobe, and it's the first kid president. She's from Carrollton Elementary in Carrollton. Well, let me just say, based on her platform, I would vote for her. So let's talk a little bit about your platform. If you were kid president, you have a lot of really good ideas. So first of all, she wants to make laws. And one of the first laws she wants to make is to take care of the earth, right? So you would make sure that everybody picks up their own trash, right? Yeah. And then the second one is very important too. Do you want to tell them what the second one was? That everybody should get along, that everybody should love each other, that we're all alike on the inside even though we're different on the outside, right? Yeah, yeah. And then another one I think is really, really nice is that she wanted the kid president wants to give people materials to build their house and food to eat. And then what about the kids? What is it that the kids should get?
Books and toys.
I think that that platform would make for a wonderful, wonderful world for all of us. But she can't do it alone, right? What did she say at the end?
Not one person can do it all.
That's right. Not one person can do it all. We all have to work together for a beautiful world, right? All right. The first kid president. Let's give her a hand. Our third grade second place winner is Ansley Phillips, and her story is Stacy and the Candy Dimensions. She goes to Tidewater Academy in Wakefield. The Candy Dimensions. Okay, now in your story, this little girl she's just hanging out in the grass, and she sees the Willow Bridge, and she decides to go over the bridge and go into the woods, right?
Yes.
Because she was very adventuresome. And what did she find first when she got into the woods?
She found a candy portal.
Ah, and what did she do when she saw this candy portal?
Stepped through.
And what did she smell when she got on the other side?
Chocolate.
Chocolate. And what was the first thing she saw then?
A chocolate dog.
And she was pretty excited because she really liked chocolate a lot, right? And then she saw some other animals. Let's see. See if I can remember this. It's the candy cane pig and the waffle sheep and the cotton candy spiders, right? Okay. So what did she do with all of those guys?
Played with them for a while.
Yeah, so she played with them. She didn't eat them, right? She just played with them. Yeah. But she was getting pretty thirsty, right? So she got to Rollo Hill, and what did she see?
She saw a river.
And she thought, oh, I'll get me some water, right? Mm-hmm. But what was it instead of water?
Coke.
Yum, not bad. So then she ended up in the marshmallow forest, where the marshmallow trees and the lollipop flowers. But she was starting to get a little scared by then. What was going on in her mind?
She wanted to go home.
And could she figure out how to get home?
No.
No. So what did she do?
She started crying.
Yeah. And then what happened?
It was becoming night, so she fell asleep.
Right, so she fell asleep where the marshmallow trees were. And when she woke up, though, where was she?
In her bed.
In her bed. So she had had a wonderful, sweet dream, right?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Our third grade first place winner is Grace Soders, and her story is Corey Clinette. She goes to Hermitage Elementary in Virginia Beach. Now, your story is pretty serious. It is one of the serious stories that we received, and it's also nonfiction, I would say. Corey was a very kind girl, but she was also very lonely. Yeah, she was lonely.
She had a cleft palate.
Right, she didn't look like everybody else, and so she didn't have friends, and that really bothered her. And then there was this jerk at school named Zach, right? And what did Zach do to her all the time?
Bullied her and
Yeah.
called her a troll.
And she was really having trouble with this, wasn't she? And she hated that she didn't have friends, but it was worse that she was getting bullied so much, right?
Yeah.
So she decided to take a stand, didn't she? And what did she do?
She talked to Zach and said that she disliked him very much and she would never treat anyone the way he treated her.
And after she told him that, did she feel better?
Yeah.
But when did she really feel better?
When she went to Operation Smile and got her cleft palate fixed and got friends.
Right, after she got it fixed, she looked in the mirror and she was like, oh, I look like everyone else now. And so when she went back to school, people were friendly with her and she got some friends. And even Zach, I think Zach was pretty surprised. Did they become friends as well?
Yes.
Yeah. So it was a wonderful little story about a girl who had a condition and was able to get it fixed, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that beautiful story. Our fourth grade second place winner is Savannah Swenson, and her story is The Girl Who Cried Santa Claus. She goes to Sewell's Point Elementary in Norfolk. There was this girl, and her name was Carly, right? Yeah. Carly, and Carly had a brother, Thomas. And so this story actually has a foreword in it. It says, to anyone who's ever tried to prove that Santa Claus is real, right? Okay. Well, Carly was on a mission to prove that because she'd seen Santa Claus, right? So she saw Santa Claus in her living room, and she called for her mom and her brother, and what happened?
They didn't believe her.
Yeah, they didn't believe her, and she's like, I know I saw Santa Claus, so I'm going to do something about this. So the first thing she tried to do was to record him, right? To take a camera and record him. And what happened with that?
Well, he didn't show up on the camera.
Right. She saw him come down the chimney, but he didn't show up on the camera. And her mom was like, yeah, right, this is just a picture of our living room, right? This is just a video of our living room, right? Okay. So she says, okay, we got to try something else. So she enlists her brother's help, right? And what did they try to do?
They tried to take their dog's kennel and tie it up onto the ceiling, and when Santa Claus would come in, they would let the rope go, but he was too fat to fit it to
Right, right. They had the milk and cookies. They had a good trap, but it just didn't work, did it? No. So she's like, third time's a charm. I'm going to try one more thing. What did she try?
She pounced on him.
When the mom came in, she was like, she had to kind of eat her words. Yeah, there was Santa laying on the floor, right? Mm-hmm. Right, and then Santa got up, and what did he do?
Well, he said, congratulations, you're the first people to, actually catch me, so we gave them a reward. Gave each of them $500.
I want that Santa Claus to visit my house. Thank you very much, Savannah. It was a great little story. Our fourth grade first place winner is Kiera Simis. And her story is Meatball's Adventure. She goes to Star of the Sea School in Virginia Beach. Now, this is a fun little story, too. This is sort of a fantasy. I would call this story a fantasy, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So there's this meatball named Meatball. And Meatball lived in Meatballville. But it was really nice in Meatballville, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, the weather was nice. He went to the pool. What all did he do at the pool? He did all kinds of fun stuff at the pool.
He did back flips, he did front flips, and then he did meatball stands, which is also known as a headstand.
The meatball stand, right? So he had a great time at the pool, and he went back home, and he was watching TV, and then something happened.
There's this evil villain named the Genie Flower who broke into his house and turned him into a human.
All right, so Meatball was no longer a meatball. All of a sudden, he was a human. And where did he land?
In Earth.
He landed on Earth. And when he got there, it was like there were all of these humans all around, and he was gonna try to ask for some help, but what did he do instead?
He got a job at the donut store.
Right. Hey, that's pretty good. As soon as he lands on Earth, he gets a job. I like that. And then he also got an apartment, right?
Yes.
And then he went to dinner. Where did he go to dinner, and what happened to dinner?
He went to a very fancy restaurant, and while he was waiting for one of the waiters to come take his order, he saw another waiter pass by with spaghetti and meatballs.
And he was thinking, oh, that meatball looks like my mom, right?
And then the meatball, the screaming, "Ah, son," in the background.
So he was a human, and he thought, he's thinking, well, this isn't quite so bad. And then he went to sleep, and what happened then?
Like an hour later, the Genie Flower broke into his room and changed him back into a meatball that was asleep.
So all of a sudden, he wakes up, and he's back being a meatball. And what did he think about his whole adventure?
It was really crazy, and he got some really awesome memories from it, but he would really miss being a human.
And after all, there's no place like home, right? Yeah. Okay, thank you for that cute story. Fifth grade second place winner is Grace Pitts, and her story is A Coincidence. She goes to Stonehouse Elementary in Williamsburg. Now this story, it's about an owl, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, and this owl, he's flying around in the night sky enjoying himself, and what does he have to do?
She has to build a nest.
She has to build a nest. And what did she have to gather to build a nest?
Like twigs, straw, leaves, and all that stuff.
Yeah, stuff that she needed a nest for. And then she needed a nice tree to put her nest in, right? So she gathers up this stuff, and she finds the tree, and she starts to make the nest, but then what happened?
Well, she throws it all together, but it just falls apart.
Right, so she's thinking, what can I do? What can I do? And then she remembered something. And what was it she remembered?
In class, she was doing a research paper, and she remembers from a book called The Encyclopedia of Owls how they make their nests, and then she starts putting the nest together.
Right, and it was sort of a coincidence that she wrote the story about her research paper about an owl, and she had turned into the same owl, right? Mm-hmm. Right. Now, when she was trying to figure out how to build the nest, in that encyclopedia, it gave her some pointers. It told her what to do, and what did it say?
It said to use her talons as fingers and kind of weave it together.
Right. So she got her nest made, and she went to sleep. And all was well until she started feeling kind of itchy, right? Mm-hmm. And why was she feeling like that?
Because she looked down and she had turned to a human again.
Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden she's too big for the nest, and she's human again. And the next thing she knows, the little girl's saying, what is the little girl saying?
She says, "Mommy, there's a kid in the tree."
And what did Mom say?
The mom doesn't believe her, and then the mom looks and she sees a kid in the tree.
Right. And so they help her get out of the tree, right? Mm-hmm. And let her go back home, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, thank you for that very cute story and those lovely illustrations. Our 5th grade first place winner is Wylesia Kellum. Her story is Ivy's Fairy Tale, and she goes to Kipta Peak Elementary in Cape Charles. Your story is true, sort of, but it's sort of a fantasy, right? And there's this girl, Ivy, right? And Ivy lives in a castle with her parents, who just happen to be a witch and a monster. I'm glad they weren't my parents, but Ivy, the problem was that her parents never wanted her to go out. And why didn't they want her to go out?
Because she stuttered.
Right, because she stuttered. They thought that she would embarrass them, right? So one day they went away, and Ivy said, okay, I'm going out. I'm here by myself. I'm going to go out and see what the big world is about. So she went out, and she ran into a girl named Savannah. But when she tried to talk to her, she had a little issue. What was going on?
She was scared that she might stutter when she talked to her.
She was trying to say a sentence, and she started the sentence with my, but she kept saying my. It hurt her feelings when Savannah asked her that, right? Like, why do you keep saying my? And so she was brave enough to tell Savannah that it bothered her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay, so she and Savannah were playing, and the old witch and the monster come back into the story because they come home, and the witch realizes that Ivy's gone, right? And what does the witch say?
Tell the monster to find her and kill her.
Find her and kill her. Now, that's not a very nice mother, I don't think, but so the monster goes out looking for Ivy, but he can't find her, can he? And he looks for days on end, and he can't find her. So when he went back, what did the witch tell? What did she say?
She cast a spell on the monster and said, if you don't do it, I'll do it myself.
That's right. She said, I'm going to cast a spell on you, and because you didn't do it, and I'm going to go do it myself, right? Mm-hmm. So she did find Ivy, didn't she? And what happened when she found Ivy?
She was trying to cast a spell on Ivy, but she couldn't because the stuttering spell had reversed itself, and now she was stuttering.
So what had happened was, instead of the monster getting the stuttering problem, it happened to the witch. And so Ivy would see all of your bad thoughts rubbed off of me and took my condition and put it on you, the witch, right? Mm-hmm. And so then Ivy and Samantha lived happily ever after without having to deal with the witch and the monster who nobody saw again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. Well, I want to let everybody know that our lovely winner here is also a published author. And she has some big dreams for herself. You want to share a little bit about what you want to do in the future?
I want to write more stories about stuttering.
And maybe go into speech, into working with children and speech as a career, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, that was a beautiful story, and thank you for sharing it with us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's all of our winners. I hope you've enjoyed hearing all of the different stories. Don't you think they were fun? Weren't they good? Let's give them all a big hand. We thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you back here next year for the Young Storytellers.